My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Join us as we seek the truth and travel the long road to justice. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I am Gigi Fruit Loop. I know you want to give a big thank you to all of our listeners.
Yep. Thanks for everybody reaching out with the death of my uncle. So I appreciate it. I read everyone and tried to like everyone, I think. So
yeah, our social media is very busy these days.
Oh, yeah.
See if I can move this without knocking it over.
Yep.
Yeah, so you guys have been so kind, and that's why we love y'all, because y'all are just good to us in a million ways. So anyways, I'm going to see Chicago tonight, and that is just a blast from the past with high school with me and you.
Oh, yeah, I love some Chicago.
I know. I'm going to see America tomorrow night. I'm back in concert mode. This is how I roll when there's not a pandemic going on. I'm happy.
Yep. I don't like going to concerts.
Really? I think we went and saw Lori Morgan years ago, and that's the only one Diana Ross. We did this on another episode.
We did. That's the last one I've been to.
No,
that was like 5 years ago.
I wish I could just drop everything and just travel and go to concerts, which is kind of what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Somebody said they like all my band t-shirts. So my goal is to wear a different band shirt every time we do this now. If you're watching on YouTube, so this is the Rolling Stones. There you go. Yeah. So it's getting to be fall here.
Yeah. And we have Attack of the Acorns.
Oh my God. So I was going to check my mail right before we went on, and big acorn, it was like the size of a basketball, hit me square in the noggin. And I literally have a bump the size of an acorn on my head. That would be how I would die, by an acorn.
Yeah. We had them hitting our car roof. It sounds like a gunshot.
It does. They're loud. They're very loud.
Yeah.
So going through, before we get started, we're about to get going with what we got today, but I feel like I've lost a lot of brain cells reading about this stuff. It's just crazy. So, I mean, it gets really ridiculous. So there's a text exchange, and this is not verbatim, between Zulema and Lori, but Lori's like, "Hey girl, can you please conjure up an earthquake for California for tomorrow?" And Zulema's like, "Yeah, I got you. I'll get off work at 6. Yeah. Powerful wizard, witches, whatever you want to call her. I get off work at 6 though. Got to clock out.
It's like a movie or I don't know, like a video game. When I was reading through it, it just reads. It's weird.
Well, there's a lot of stuff in these documents and a lot of stuff we didn't know. So we're going to make a whole thing out of this. We'll probably do shorter episodes that are about 20 minutes long, and we're just going to hit one topic just so it's because it gets really confusing. But it's these people really believed what all this mess. I'm telling you, if you read text messages that are just between individuals, it blows your mind that people will believe this kind of stuff. So anyways, what we're going to do today is we're kind of starting at the beginning of these documents, and we're going to go maybe not always in chronological order, but just kind of how they're laid out. This particular episode is going to be regarding Adam Cox, who is Lori's brother, his interview with police on August 9th, 2019. So a few days shy of a month after Charles was murdered. But this is before JJ, Tylee, and Tammy were murdered.
Yeah.
So you see how they're investigating it. What's hard about reading these documents too is you see they were onto them really early on, but nothing was done in time. And that is frustrating when you read this because some things could have been prevented, I think. So we're going to get into the backstory of this, and we're just going to start real quick. Adam and his son, Zach, essentially were the only members of Lori's family who really had contact with Charles after Lori turned her family against him. And if you remember, Lori had told her family that Charles was having an affair and he had been mean to her. So they all bought it in spite of the fact that Charles was paying for cars and phones and everything else. They just took Lori's word on it and rolled with it. And Adam and Zach is Adam's son, so that would be Lori's nephew. They were the only two people that really stuck by Charles up until he was murdered. So on July 2nd of 2019, now this is 9 days before Charles was murdered, Charles texted Adam and told him that Lori had gotten new health insurance for the family, but not herself, because apparently she didn't feel like she needed life insurance. If you remember, she said she didn't have to eat or go to the bathroom either.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that goes away in one hour period.
Yeah, have a cup of coffee or a big Slurpee from 7-Eleven, and let's see how your bladder works.
Yeah.
But Adam said that something dramatic needs to happen so that she can see she's not Superwoman. But Charles knows Lori, and he said presenting her with facts won't work, and she'll see it as an attack on her personally, and she'll blame everybody else. And he knew at that point she truly believed she was a god.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the stake president, which I guess, I don't know if that's maybe like is it like a pastor of the ward essentially? Or
I think kind of, sort of, that's so there's so many stakes, it's almost like churches away from the temple. So, yeah.
Okay. So he essentially says he can end it all, this whole mess, by taking away her temple recommend until she repents. And then if she doesn't, Adam says she's going to end up excommunicated like Alex.
Mm-hmm.
So on July 9th, now remember, Lori was going to the temple a lot.
Yep.
I mean, she was going like 5 days a week. So taking away her temple recommend, Charles knew that would devastate her. I don't know that it really would have, though. I think she would have just seen it as an attack.
I think they would have conjured up something else, a metal building out behind their house. I don't know.
Yeah, they can hop in their portal anytime and just portal themselves into the temple.
Yeah.
So on July 9th, this is 2 days before the murder, Adam tells Charles that he's going to go see Lori, and he wants to keep his phone on record. He said they need proof before they go to the stake president. I needed a nap, but I just couldn't go there earlier. He said she would probably leave before she would let him talk, but he thought it was worth a try.
Yeah. So if you remember, we talked about this before, right before Charles's murder, he texts Adam saying Al is here. Adam says they are planning something, and Charles says absolutely. Adam and Charles had a plan to arrange a family meeting about Lori, about her beliefs, and talk to the stake president about what was going on with her. So that was July 9th.
Yep.
That he texted her that. He did tell his family he was worried about Lori and she needed to go to a psychiatrist. His parents said that Lori wasn't living in reality, but that was the only reality she could live in. That's weird. They said she wasn't hurting anyone.
Ooh. Now, here's the thing. with you and I, if we started doing all this nonsense, we both have families that would hold us accountable. We have families that would sit us down and say, you are one fry short of a Happy Meal. You need help.
My mama would get the belt after me.
40-something years old.
You're 40 years old. Right.
Just get you. But I think I'm not saying that that's all of it, but if her whole family, her parents, her sister, had sat her down and said, girl, you're way off track. This is scary. Would we be somewhere else? They kind of enabled her to be this way, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think it would have made a difference, though.
I really don't either.
Because her and Chad, I don't think it would have made a difference.
Yeah, I mean, after reading these documents, I'm convinced more than ever she really believed this stuff. This was not some kind of a facade to enable her to have an affair. I think that was part of the whole thing. But these beliefs, they all believed them.
Yeah. Yep. So we have his parents saying that, and then Adam gets a call from Charles who told him that Lori's gone off the deep end and said he didn't have the same Lori anymore. He said the whole family cut Charles off at Lori's request, and Adam said he was the only one who would take Charles's phone calls.
Yeah, and remember, Charles is paying for everybody's phone bill. He had bought a couple of them cars. I know he had bought Lori's parents a car, and I mean, he's good as long as he's keeping them happy.
Oh, they're using him.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So Adam felt something needed to be done because Lori had brought his niece Melanie into it. Yeah.
So Charles said that Lori was ruining people's lives and asked Adam to come to Arizona to talk to the state president with him. This is, I think part of this is in the report. Some of the investigators will say the letter to Tammy Daybell may have, or no, I'm sorry. The letter, when Charles discovered the letter about the ghostwriter, which was written as if it came from him asking Chad to come to Arizona and write this book. Investigators really feel like when Charles found that out and confronted Lori, that sort of was the straw that broke the camel's back. Mm-hmm. And that's when all these plans started of getting rid of him came into motion. But Charles didn't want Adam to tell Lori he was coming into town because she would run and not talk to him.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. At 7:30 the morning of the murder, Charles texted Adam telling him Alex was there. And he said he had told Alex he was coming into town. And he wanted to spend the night with Alex that night before, but Alex never returned his phone calls, which he kind of thought was odd. And he said that Adam said that Alex had been sucked into Lori's beliefs, and Alex really believed anything Lori told him.
That's crazy.
So
remember there was that video with Adam and Alex.
Yeah.
Adam does radio stuff. There was that video of him interacting, doing those voices, doing impersonations of people.
Right. And then you had the pictures on the Instagram of them two going to the shooting range together. So it seemed like when they were in the same town, they would hang out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But it does make a lot of sense. That's what we've always kind of theorized, is that Alex was just a tag that was always right there. So Adam thought it was odd that Alex had taken a week off of work to do things around the house, which must be what he told him, when he usually went to Columbia, and Adam said it to get girls. He would go to Columbia and pay for women to do things around the house. I mean, I don't know, like travel to other countries for sex tourism. It creeps me out.
Yeah.
It's just tells me a lot about somebody. So Adam warned Charles really to be on the lookout, and he thought they were up to something. And Charles said, yeah, I agree 100%. It's weird because the last text that Adam sent to him, I don't have it right here, but it was right before I think Charles walked in that house.
Yeah.
Because the last text that Adam sent to Charles wasn't read until after 12 o'clock that day, which was after he was murdered and Lori had the phone.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So when he didn't hear from Charles, he thought it was weird. He tried texting and calling Charles, but no answer. A few days later, Adam and Zach went to visit a friend in Tucson and got worried about not hearing from Charles. He mentioned this to the friend he was visiting, and his friend did a Google search where they saw Charles had been shot and killed by Alex. Alex said he broke down crying Adam broke down crying and also said that nobody in his family called to tell him. So Adam called his parents saying they needed to talk, so he drove to their house, and Tylee was there. Normally, she was very friendly towards him, but this visit, she didn't say anything to him, only talking to Lori's mom, Janice, at a level where nobody else could hear. Tylee left, and if you remember correctly, this is where Zach said Janice led Tylee out to where they couldn't talk to him.
Yeah, he said that she like put her hands on Tylee's shoulders and kind of shuffled Tylee past him. And he said he thought Tylee looked like she wanted to talk, but Grandma was making sure that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. So Janice then yelled at Adam saying, "How dare you not say anything to Tylee after what she's been through?" And Adam says Charles had been dead for 3 days and nobody had said anything about it for 3 days. And Janice told him to get his stuff and get out. He said their relationship was normally good, but they argued for 30 minutes over Charles's death.
Yeah. So what they do next is Adam and Zach called Summer, which is Adam and Lori's sister, over the phone and asked if she knew that Charles had been murdered. And she said she didn't, but Adam told the investigator by the way she said it, he knew she knew. He didn't buy it. So earlier, Janice and Adam had argued about Janice accusing Adam of trying to get Lori in trouble with the church, saying that she had seen every text and email between them about it. So I'm sure Lori was screenshotting, or they were sending screenshots all around. And Adam didn't understand how she saw the emails and texts because the police were supposed to have Charles's phone. But it wasn't until the cops came back and they asked Lori, which I found a little discrepancy in there, where obviously the phone was supposedly the reason Charles came back in the house to get his phone. Adam said Charles never left his phone anywhere. He always had it. But then when the cop later that day asked Lori for Charles's phone, she said, "Oh, we found it in the car." Totally contradicts the original story.
Yeah.
And Adam had told investigators that he really doubted there was even a fight between Charles and Alex. He just didn't buy it.
Yeah.
And he questioned the time.
If you go back and look at, and we talked about this earlier, Alex's former wife or whatever said he had talked about getting in a fight with Joe on purpose, like setting it up and planning a fight. I mean, you just wonder, did that happen?
Yeah, and he specifically said that he would bait him and kill him and claim self-defense.
Yeah.
So Adam questioned the times of the last text from Charles, which was 7:33, and he knew 911 wasn't called until 8, and he just knew that Alex hadn't called 911 right away. The one thing that Adam said was that Alex is an expert shooter and he goes shooting frequently. But if you think about it, he missed Brandon. He missed Tammy Daybell that night, yeah. But you remember the size of those bullets on those Instagram pictures? They were humongous.
Yeah, that one gun he had, it was big. Yeah, those bullets were large. Yeah. So he felt Alex shot Charles twice to be sure he was dead. The investigator told Adam that the way Janice knew about the emails and texts is because Lori had the phone for several hours after the murder until she brought it back to them. Like, how does that even happen? I mean, I know she lied. She had to lie.
Yeah. I don't know.
She didn't know where it was, but
you would think that the minute that they hear any kind of story about what happened, they would say, well, where's his phone? We're going to need that phone. It wasn't until much later in the day that they realized they didn't have it. Exactly.
So Adam said Charles always had his phone. Lori's story about him leaving in there, we talked about that. That was big lie. Liar.
Yeah. Liabetes.
Yeah, exactly.
But Adam said that his family didn't like Charles and they were trying to get Lori they didn't like the fact that Charles was trying to get Lori help, so that's why they wouldn't talk to him. And Adam said there's something with Lori and Alex. And he also mentioned again that Alex had been excommunicated with the church. Apparently, Lori would say it doesn't matter what you do in this life because you can always be saved. He thought Alex loved that theory because that just means he could go sin and do whatever he wanted and then repent.
Yeah.
Adam was upset, obviously. He said Charles didn't deserve to die. And he was upset, too, about how Lori had just changed. And I mean, I can get that. If you have somebody in your family that starts believing in all this wackadoodle stuff, Yeah, it's
You just wish that maybe Adam would have went with him that morning,
yeah.
It might be different. Or, I mean, they could both be dead. I don't
It's
know.
a coulda, shoulda, woulda,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that Adam and Zach are struggling with that. I mean,
Mhm.
but nobody ever could have suspected that they were going to murder him. It's easy to look back now and say, man, he should have never went alone, but he was just going to take JJ to school. It's not like
Mhm.
the worst they really thought that would happen would be that Lori would just, close her ears and not want to listen.
Yeah.
And maybe some drama with the family. Adam thought his mom knew more than she was letting on and was covering for Alex and Lori. And he thought Tylee knew something too. He just thought she was acting really weird. And, I was thinking about Tylee and Charles and all that. I'd read some comments about it's pretty clear that they didn't get along, which step parent, stepchild, that's kind of a tale as old as time.
Mhm.
There's always a lot of struggle. But then you think about it, Tylee being raised by Lori, I'm sure she saw that when her mom was done with somebody, it wasn't just a clean break. There was a lot of evil put into that to make somebody out to be the villain that wasn't her. I bet it was really hard for Tylee to get close to people.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure she just anticipated at some point that would go south. I just felt so bad for both of them because maybe they could have had a much different relationship. But
Yeah.
Adam brought up how Charles tried to divorce her and she left for 58 days. His theory is that the reason she left was to avoid losing that life insurance policy.
It's a good point.
Yeah, it really is. And Adam thought they could get Tylee to break if they could get to her. But what we learned in this document dump too is apparently Lori took Tylee's phone after Charles's murder.
Oh, wow.
Because somebody was asking, I'll have to go back and that's going to be in a later episode, but somebody had said something about getting in touch with Tylee and Lori said, I still have her phone. And this was shortly after the murder. So,
Wow. So Adam said Lori's excuse was that Charles was having an affair, but he didn't believe her. He says he has lost his whole family over this. He says his whole family thought Alex was a hero for saving Tylee, but Adam said he knew Charles would never hurt her. He said he thinks Lori hit Alex with the bat after Charles was shot. Adam heard from his uncles that Lori had changed her story 3 times about what happened. Adam said during an argument with his mother about this, he yelled that Lori and Alex murdered Charles and her eyes got big. He said Alex went to Columbia after the murder. He said nobody was upset about Charles and his family had cut his son Zach off before he felt sorry for Charles.
These people are really foul.
Like, I can't understand cutting. Like, my family, we're all close.
Oh, yeah, same.
Yeah.
But they just enabled Lori's behavior for years. I mean, if you look back all the way to Joe Ryan and what we don't know before with these other few husbands she's had, I mean, she got 6 old last names. It just seems like they've always let her do her thing with no regard for anybody else in her life.
Yep. So Adam said his family didn't believe in extraordinary things like Lori did. He said Lori had been reading the Doomsday books and listening to the podcast for about 2 years, and the people in charge had been excommunicated from the church. Alex had told Adam that he had seen more light in the podcast than he did his entire life in church. And that's where you get into dangerous territory.
Yeah. I mean, it for me, it's just, I always think about that Sinbad comedy special where he's talking about cult leaders. And he says, it blows my mind that somebody can walk up and say, hey, I'm Jesus. And they're like, whoa, what? Oh my gosh, you're Jesus? People are gullible.
Yeah.
I mean, portals and conjuring up earthquakes and stuff.
Yeah. So Adam says that Lori says she goes to the temple to talk to Jesus and she'd been married to Moroni. He said Lori loves attention and thinks she is better than anyone else. She had been giving people blessings, which isn't allowed in the church. He had planned to record her and talk to the stake president, but never got the chance. His family was mad at him for wanting to do that.
Yeah. So Adam said Charles and Lori had talked to the stake president, but Adam felt Lori lied just to be able to keep that temple recommend. And at one point, Charles tried to get her temple recommend taken away, hoping it would snap her out of this. I think that was the goal of Adam and Charles both, was just to get her out of the temple where she thinks she's having these divine interventions or whatever she was thinking, and get her back on an even keel. But it's just crazy. Lori told Adam she could be shot and nothing would happen to her. And she said she didn't have to eat anymore and she's a translated being. So Adam also said that Lori had been given Tally blessings. And this is when Lori stopped talking to Adam when he confronted her about this.
Yeah, this all sounds like a Marvel movie.
Oh, man. Yeah. It's
yeah.
I mean, it's just funny reading these different exchanges, especially with Zulema conjuring up all the elements and all this stuff. And it's like, you're doing good, girl. I'm feeling the power. I'm feeling the power. And I'm just thinking, it's like a bunch of Hollywood writers sat down at a table and said, let's think of the dumbest religion that we could all put together, portals and conjuring earthquakes and all this stuff. But these people just hook, line, and sinker. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the one, and we'll cover it, is when they try to take out Charles when he's driving down the road in Texas or whatever. And she's
no,
like,
he's fine. He's alive. Your powers didn't work.
And
Sorry,
I'm
I'm still on the clock at work. When I clock out, I can really concentrate. It's just so crazy.
Yeah.
So that's the one interview. There are a lot more. There's some interesting ones that we're going to do on the next episode. These are some people that were friends of Lori's, a couple she had known for a few years before she went 50 Shades of Grey. And then one girl she met through this preparing of people, all that stuff. I can just say from where I'm at now, I don't know how anybody got immunity. They all should be in jail. They all knew what was up. They all knew Lori wanted people dead. Chad wanted people dead.
Yeah.
And I understand that sometimes you got to bend to get the testimony you need to solidify conviction, but still, dude, I would have been like, if you testify, we won't put you in jail for the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll give you 30 years. You deserve life, whatever. So we just wanted to start this. We're going to do these frequently. They're going to be shorter episodes, 20 to 30 minutes. And we're going to be here quite a while doing this.
Yeah, to me, it sets a bad example, crime-wise, that I may be able to get off.
Yeah.
I mean, because she knew a lot.
She knew a ton.
In general, yeah. And we said that, we said it from the get-go.
We did. We said whatever she knows must be huge, because we had a feeling she was very deeply involved in, even if she didn't physically do anything to have participated in Charles's murder. She's conjuring up fake things to make him have a wreck. It's just so strange. And then you hear all kinds of weird stuff in these documents. One time, Zulema is saying in an interview with authorities that Alex made her lay down on some plastic sheet, and she thought, am I going to be the next victim?
Yeah, I think she was going to be.
Maybe.
I think no. That's just creepy.
But the thing is this, anybody who doubted Lori was dark. All of a sudden, they were dark. If you questioned her, or you even said, this really isn't what the real deal is with religion, then they were a dark spirit. Yeah. And it's just kind of a religious play on, I don't want to be your friend anymore because you don't believe everything I say.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. So we're still barely into these documents. And I just feel like I need to put Clorox in my head and swish it around just to clean it after reading this stuff. It's just, and I read the erotica. I'm just going to put it here. Okay.
I was going to say, this is no worse than his book. So.
Oh my, no, the erotica is worse than his books.
No, I'm okay with you reading that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
dude,
I don't want to do that.
It reads like a parody. Okay. It's like you take 50 Shades of Grey and you put it on meth. Or you put it on something crazy. It's really sort of, obviously Chad maybe didn't stray outside the box very much until Lori. And this was obviously stuff he didn't talk to Tammy about because look, if I was Lori and I read this mumbo jumbo, I don't care what I believed. I'd be like, boy, bye.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Go on.
Yeah.
This is it. Yeah.
Get on out of here.
It is so gross, y'all.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to summarize it. I'm just going to say, ugh.
No, it's like that video on YouTube long ago. That one with a leprechaun in a tree. That's what it's. That thing is so funny.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But all right. So we're going to head out. I'm going to get ready to get my kids home and then go to a concert and then a concert tomorrow. So I'm living my best life right now, y'all.
Yep.
All right. We will see you guys soon.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details. With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.